Hello and welcome. Today we're going to learn about right angle triangles and the Pythagorean theorem. Now, Pythagorean theorem involves a right angle triangle, and here we have an example of a right angle triangle. The key defining feature of a right angle triangle is, in fact, the right angle. Now, so the right angle doesn't have to be there. It can really be anywhere, but in this case, it's there, and it's denoted by this square symbol, and that tells us that it's actually a right angle. Okay, so the other thing that's important before we get stuck into the Pythagorean theorem is we need to define what the hypotenuse is. Now, the hypotenuse is always, and I'll repeat, always, the line or the side opposite the right angle in a right angle triangle. So in this case, it's this side there. Okay, so the easiest way to start is to label the sides. So for simplicity's sake, we're going to label the hypotenuse C. And that's really, for the Pythagorean theorem, that's really the only, that's the important factor, is that the hypotenuse is always C. We can label the sides, other sides A and B. These sides, it doesn't matter. This side could be a B, or it could be A. This could be A, or it could be B. Doesn't really matter. The only important one is that this side is C, and we'll find out why that is later. So the Pythagorean theorem states that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the adjacent sides. Now that sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but it's probably easier expressed mathematically as this. The square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the adjacent sides. And that's pretty much all there is to the Pythagorean theorem. So a quick example would be, let's just say that, so I should go back. And so what that means is that we can then find out the length of a side if we know a couple of the other sides. So for example, let's just say that we know that A is 4 units, could be meters, centimeters, micrometers, kilometers, could be anything. And let's just say that B is 3 units. So we have our formula here, which is c squared, which we don't know, so let's put a question mark there. So c squared equals 4 squared plus 3 squared. Okay, so that means that c squared equals 4 squared is 16 plus 3 squared is 9. C squared equals 25. To get C by itself, we take the root of both sides. So C equals 5 units. And now we know that C equals 5. And that's really all there is to the Pythagorean theorem. If you have found this or any other video informative or helpful, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing with your friends.